second episode of our podcast, which is more on our professional identity and our resilience plan. Today, we're going to look at vulnerabilities. We're going to look at the risk and what are the risks or what threats do we tend to envisage eventually going into this field. For Chris, what is it for you? What are your vulnerabilities? What are your risks? Can you just outline what risk it's there?
Okay, thank you. For the risk, left for me is a kind of emotional cost of caring, and the moral risk there is that this is the pain of knowing the right thing to do or being blocked by rules or systems. Example from the ongoing situation of the residents that you are supposed to see what to do, but the scope of practice and the regulation in the profession will not allow you to do that. So it's just like a moral risk to me. Like as a PSW, I know a client needs more time, but schedule don't allow it. Then as a mental health profession, I see how poverty and housing make recovery harder, and I cannot fix these things. So these are like a distress that I go. Then other risks are more of like a compassion fatigue, because I feel deeply for others. I can absorb their pain without care. This can lead to emotional tiredness and feeling like I am not helping enough. So for the resilience and sustainability, so I think I'll just need to create a plan to protect my well-being and to keep myself fit while doing the job. And then
Chris.
other
So before we talk about that, let's really digest what the risk is before we start talking about the resilience plan and what your strategies are in ensuring that happens. So we hear from you that you're talking about the boundaries, which like you're talking about compassion, fatigue, and burnout that results from caring for these people. And sometimes it can be stressful that there are intentions of what you want to do, but there is limited scope of what you can do for them. That's really an insight. Thank you so much. So Naila, on your own side, what are the vulnerabilities you face?
Okay, so for me, I think I relate with Chris. Yeah. I acknowledge that my high empathy increases my risk of compassion fatigue, especially when working with clients experiencing severe trauma or addiction. Recognizing that my strong sense of responsibility and desire to help everyone increases my risk for burnout if I do not set limits. Yes, I understand that moral distress may arise when systemic barrier prevents clients from receiving the care they need, especially when my value conflicts with policy and resources limitation. Yes, I think that's what I have to say concerning this.
Yeah, I think we share the same thing. We totally share the same thing. One is about the burnout and the compassionate fatigue that comes from it. And most likely, when in complicated situation, we could get vicarious trauma. That's secondary trauma from the experiences we get at the workplace. And again, limitations of what we can do, knowing that mental health is fully funded by the government. And sometimes we don't have all the resources to really take care of what the needs of the clients are. There is also moral distress. There's probably some things associated with boundary challenges. How do you set that therapeutic relationship between you and your clients, right? How do you create that boundary between your personal relationship as well as your professional relationship? So talking about your resilience and your well-being, yes, what in a nutshell is going to help you achieve resilience, and what strategies are you going to put in place to ensure that this is achieved? Who amongst us want to start first?
Okay, let me go first. Okay, so for me, I think I will use grounding techniques like breathing, like deep breathing, mindfulness, and stretching. You get it? To regulate my nervous system. Also, I think this sounds funny, but that's me. I'm a prayerful girl, so I will incorporate prayer.
That's good.
Yeah, I'll incorporate prayer and a reflective practice to process my emotional experience. I will also intentionally pause before and after difficult intention to reset and maintain my emotional balance. And lastly, I think so I think these strategies align with trauma-informed principles of safety, self-regulation, and emotional awareness. So that's what I will go with. Yeah.
Sounds good. Religion has a role it plays in making sure that we're resilient in the difficult situation we play. So praying is also a good one. You don't have to be amused about it. If it works for you, speak it out. It could work for someone else. Okay. So Chris, how about you?
Okay, talking about resilience and well-being plan. This is a building a sustainable practice, and this is a long-term goal. Like it's a profession that lasts for long. So my resilience plan goes this way. I usually design to help my. What I usually do is to design myself to help me stay strong, healthy, and able to provide care over the long time period. One, daily decompression and peer support. What will I do? I spend 15 to 20 minutes every day journaling about emotional and ethical challenges and join monthly peer support group to talk through difficult situations. Why am I doing this? Because trauma-informed care teaches us that workers also need safety support and daily reflection, and peer connection helps reduces stress, and prevent compassion fatigue. Thank you.
Yeah, great work. And I think for me, I agree with everything you all have said. And in addition to what we have talked about, I would say weekly journaling using the desk model, which has to do with describing what your experiences are, expressing what your experiences are, and specifying what it is, and maybe understanding what the consequences are at the end of the day. Secondly, it's also bi-weekly peer consultation. I think Chris mentioned about peer support programs. Um, I think for some time, I think in our workplaces, our colleagues have also some kind of experiences, lived experiences, or whatever experiences we're going to have in the workplace. So sharing our thoughts, having peer support conversations could probably help us in this area. And advocating for organizational wellness culture. So in as much as at the individual level, at the team level, we profess solutions, organizationally, there should be a kind of a wellness culture that is existing in that organization. Um, also, what kind of self-care? I mean, how would you take care of yourself? I know, Naila, you mentioned about praying, you mentioned about
Mhm.
breathing exercises, you talked about stretching. For you, Chris, what are other self-care strategies that will help you? I mean, what kind of things do you do in a stressful situation or in the workplace, stressful events? What do you do to take care of yourself? I mean,
Actually, should I go on?
yeah, please.
Okay, yeah, like in a stressful moment like that, because yeah, burnout is part of our job, and what I do is that while we take care of the people, we also take care of ourselves. So I usually make out time for myself. I go for my sports. I go for my workout gym. I also sleep well. I relax my memory. I take good care of myself. Sometimes, like we used to usually say, taking rest or taking excuse is not being lazy. It's part of the process. So I also do this to keep myself fit. This is what I do. Thank
That's
you.
good. That's good. Do you have additional things on your side, Nyla, you do to ensure that your resilience is well preserved and protected,
Mhm.
and your well-being is in place?
Yeah, I think setting clear boundaries with work, including limitation over time, protecting my days off, and disguising between work life and home is gonna help me. And then also, I think I'll also maintain strong connection with my culture through music, food, language, prayer, like I said, and community gathering. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm also a prayerful person. I don't know if I'm prayerful. Okay, but I know there's some level of religion like I uphold to. I mean, I
Mhm.
probably might not be praying on a daily basis, but I resonate more with inspirational songs. And even just scrolling our phones, looking at the social media, Facebook, what's happening, the comedies we see. I mean, for these are some strategies I explore on my own side. Like the other time we were coming back from school, right? And I saw you laughing out loud in the bus, and I was asking you what was happening. You were telling me stories about what was happening in the social
I
media, right?
remember.
So in a
Mm-hmm.
way, these are all wellness plans. These are all
Yeah.
strategies that helps us to really preserve and uphold our resilience in this kind of workplace. Let's keep working together, identifying what kind of self-care strategies are there, and also identifying what strategies we can put to ensure that we are resilient enough to manage through difficult times. So we're gradually coming to the end of our episodes or our podcast. And before that, we just have to have a recap of what we've done so far. At the beginning, we talked about our professional identity, what is our core values. We talked about our strengths. We talked about areas of growth, and we talked about what populations we would like to work with. And now in this episode, we're talking about what makes us vulnerable, what are the risks that are there, because being aware of the risk helps us to profess solutions and strategies on how we can support resilience in the workplace. And some of us have shared about religion, some of us have shared sports, and also in sports, like with Chris, I also play basketball. I'm very active with basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes whenever I see shifts available and people are saying who is willing to take the shift, I don't compromise my sports. I don't compromise my basketball because it's for my mental well-being. It's also for my own wellness as well. So by way of conclusion, what are our commitments to sustainable practice? Um, Having said all we have said, what can we say in summary? What are our commitments to sustainable practice? How are we going to get committed to ensure that we continue to strive to the end amidst the challenges that are found in the field? Who wants to go first? So for me, I would say, like I said earlier on, it was more of a biomedical approach in taking care of people with mental health problems and also understanding the complexity of mental health. I will shift my perspective from just only the biomedical perspective to more of the psychosocial aspect and psychosocial lens, and also the intersectoral and cross-ministerial collaboration clause, particularly the role plays and some of the reflections we had in this course really was an eye opener for me. We could write as many skills like de-escalation skills, empathetic listening, but the role play we had with our Professor Alexa, really was an eye opener for me, and it was more like an insight on what I would do whenever I find myself in difficult situations like that. I don't know if any of you felt the same way. Even if you didn't feel the same way, what did you feel differently? But this is my perspective.
Okay, so for me, as internationally educated nurse and currently practicing PSW, I think my commitment to compassionate trauma-informed and culturally sensitive mental health care has really helped my strength. Has really strengthened me. You get it? So yes, as it has really strengthened me and my resilience plan grounded in trauma-informed care, harm reduction, anti-oppressive practice, and complex mode has provided me with a structure I need for long-term sustainability in mental health field.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. That's a lot of insight, and that's very educative. Do you have your final words, Chris? What are your commitments to sustainability?
Okay, my commitment to a long-term career in helping is just that this is my goal to help a long and a healthy career in helping others. I know this work can be hard and can wear me down. So my commitment is to sustainable practice means I promise to take care of myself so I can keep taking care of others. This isn't a side though, it's a core part of my job. I get too tired, stressed, and burn out. I can't be a good helper. So I promise to take care of myself. I promise not to work alone. I promise to choose healthy workplace. I will test myself. This is what I think I do. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very insightful, and that's really very it's a lot of information there. Take care of yourself because you need to get your own oxygen before you can start administering oxygen to somebody else. Thank you all for your contributions. Thank you all for your insight and for sharing your stories, for sharing your experience. It's really a privilege to hear them, I would say. And I want to give a shout out to the organizer of our program, Mike Alageti, as well as our lecturer, Alexa, for all their commitment, determination, and work of excellence to ensure that we really are productive people in the field. And hopefully, God willing, we're going to be successful and we're going to make the college proud and make you all proud. So today, we talked about our resilience plan, we talked about professional identity, we talked about vulnerability, as well as plans we're going to put in place to ensure that all this is a success. By way of reference, if you're looking for more information, you can go to, we will attach at the lower part of the transcript, you can see as many transcripts as possible, such as the Bloom Excel, which has to do with creating sanctuaries. We also have references from Canadian Center on Substance Use and Addictions. We also have Compassionate Fatigue by Figley. We have Harm Reduction International, which tells us more about what harm reduction is, because a lot of people have a misconception of what harm reduction is. They feel harm reduction is complicating issues rather than solving problems. So I think if you need more insight on what Harm Reduction International is, please do well to go to these references provided. Also, we have Mental Health Commission of Canada, guidelines for recovery-oriented practices, and we also have the concise professional quality of life manual, which is always available, right? And please, you can always get these resources and get more insight on how to develop resilience and how to support yourself while working in high-risk settings or complex setting rather, such as mental health. While you still remain your very self, and I still remain my humble self, Ikele. See you next time in another session. Maybe continue to be the good person you are, continue to be resilient, and continue to identify how best you can serve yourself and the people around you. So it was a wonderful experience to have these conversations, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Well, thank you all. See you.
Bye.
Okay.